In this video, we're going to be looking at how you can import data into the CRM online system. There are a couple things you just need to be aware of. I would definitely recommend that you check some of the TechNet articles that are available out there. But you can import data into the entities of CRM, which entities are considered tables within the database, and you can import in various different ways. So the video today is going to be done by Gus Gonzalez. He is a CRM MVP, and he'll be talking a little bit about how you can take a data that's in an Excel spreadsheet, upload it into the CRM system, how you can map out your fields along with you targeting your specific entities or tables, and then also data maps. So take a look at this, and I hope you find this beneficial.
In Microsoft Dynamics CRM, we're going to navigate to Settings, Data Management, and inside of Data Management, we will click on Imports to begin the process. Now here you can see the two imports we did earlier when we were looking at importing data with Microsoft Excel. Now before I start my import, I need to make sure that my data is on the right format. If I go to the data that I will be importing, you notice that I already saved 3 of my files into a CSV file. The first one is the users, and I already created the users in Office 365 before, so I don't need to import that. But the territory, companies, and contacts has been saved. Now I left one out, which is opportunities, to show you how it's done. So I'm going to open opportunities in an Excel format, and I'll navigate to File, Save As, and select the folder that I need. All I have to do is change the save type to CSV and click on Save. So that is the process that I did with all of the other records that you saw in the system. The ones that I will be importing will be the CSV files that you see here. Because I already follow the best practice we learned on the previous module for data cleansing, I already have a number. So I can follow my nomenclature and import them in that particular order. So I'm going to go back to CRM, and I'm going to click on Import Data. The first record I will be importing is a pretty simple one. It's the territories. So I'll click on Browse, select the CSV file, not the XLS file. Click on Open. I will click on Next. CRM will check to make sure that the file is correct, that it's on the right format. So this is the first place where you're going to see if you have any issues, like if you have any, for example, any columns that don't have headers and things like that. Then I'm going to click on Next. And the wizard has detected a single column, so it's just letting me know that this particular file is really small, and am I sure that I want to import this? So I'm going to say yes, I am sure, and click OK. Now there are several types of data maps that we can work with when we're importing data. The default map is allowing CRM to read the information on the columns and try to map them to entities in CRM. So for example, depending on the name of the file, it will try to map it against an entity, and depending on the name of the columns, it will try to map it against an actual field within that entity. We also have, for example, data maps that will work for generic contact and account data. So if you have a composite single file containing the information for contacts and accounts, it tries to import both at the same time. You can have a sample data map, which is the data map used to import the sample data CRM Online comes with out of the box. You can use the data map for Business Contact Management 2010. So for example, if your company was using this solution and it was a really small company and now it's moving up to Microsoft Dynamics CRM, you can change or you can upgrade the data from the Outlook Business Contact Manager to Microsoft Dynamics CRM. And obviously, if you're coming from Salesforce.com, you can use the out-of-the-box data maps to import the data from an actual report export, from a full data export, or from a report export, not a partial one like contacts and accounts. So in this case, I will select the default and click on Next. You can see that because I have added a number, the system cannot understand that I'm trying to import territories. So I will select the entity from here. So scroll down and select territory. Click next. And now we just need to map the territory to the territory name field. So we make sure that the name of the territory in our file maps to the territory name field in CRM. And we will click next. We take a look at the summary, which basically means that we're importing our 02 territory.csv file into the territory entity, and click next. And here we can select if we want to allow duplicates to be imported or not. Even though we removed duplicates with Microsoft Excel earlier, it is important to leave allow duplicates to no. That way, just in case you miss something, there might be a duplicate detection rule in the system that will detect other duplicates. So it's always good to leave it on. The next thing is to select who's going to own the records to be imported. In this case, it's going to be my user. And an optional step will be to save a data map. We will actually do this step on the next import, which will be companies and contacts. I'm going to click Submit and click on Finish. Now you can see that a new job has been added to the system. And all we need to do is refresh a couple times to make sure the records are created. You can see the status is submitted. It is parsing the data, transforming it, and you can see that we have 3 successful record creations in the system. So now that territories are imported, I can move on by importing the companies and the contacts in the system. The problem with importing companies and contacts is that there is a two-way dependency. So for example, when I take a look at companies, you can see that there is a primary contact name in here. So because we don't have any contacts in the system yet, if I try to import companies right now, the process will simply fail. Also, if I import contacts before companies, you can see that contacts depend on the companies for the company name. So once again, if I try to import the contacts without a company name, the import would fail. So the trick here is to zip both files and import them at the same time. Let me show you how this works. So I'm going to take the contact record and I'm going to take the company record. I'll right click, click on Send To, Compressed. Now I can rename this file if I want to. I can call it something like Customers, for example. Customers, or I can call it Companies and Contacts, whichever you need. So I will leave it as 3 customers. Now I go back to CRM and I click on Import Data once again. So I will select the zip file this time around. It's my customer zip file. Click on Open and Next. You can see that it's seeing 2 different CSV files in the system, the company CSV file and the contact CSV file. And because of my naming convention, it will try to import companies first and contacts, but at the same time. So the two files will process at the same time. So next. Now here I will select default or automatic mapping. Click next. And all I have to do is match each one to its own different entity. So the first one will be companies, which will go into the account entity. And the contacts will go into the contact entity. Next. So now it's time to map each one of the entities. So first I click on account and I will map the required fields first and then followed by the optional fields. So for the required fields, I need to find the account name. So in this case will be the name field. And then I go down the list. The city matches to the addressing, website is matching, and the last field I need to match is the address 1 zip code. So you can see that now I get a green check mark for account. Now let's do the same for contact. Email address will be matched to email. First name, lead source is already matching. Mobile number, let's match it to mobile phone. Matching field, sales rep once again will come out of the system or will be named differently. You just have to find the equivalent in CRM. You can also choose to ignore it. As you can see, search for business phone. Sales rep once again will be owner, which matches to a team or a user in CRM. And finally, the title will be job title. So some fields will come out of the system or will be named differently. You just have to find the equivalent in CRM. You can also choose to ignore it, as you can see, or you can even create a new field. Creating new fields from the data import wizard, it's simple, but it's also dangerous, because if you create multiple fields at the same time, your import job could fail to import due to a timeout, and then you have to start from scratch. So in this case, I will click on Next. I will accept the checkboxes for companies and contacts, click on Next. And then at this point, because I spent so much time doing the data mapping, making sure all the columns match to the fields, I will save my data map. Now, for the data map name, you can use whatever name you want. I personally like to obviously add the names of the entities that I'm importing, so companies and contacts. And I also like to add a date. So in this case, I will add, let's say May 16th, 2015, and click on Submit. So you can see that my data has been submitted for import. Let's click on Finish. Okay, so now we can watch it populate. You can see that it's transforming the companies and then importing contacts at the same time. It's actually importing both records at the same time. You can see 25 companies succeeded successfully. 3 of them failed, and no worries, we will get to troubleshoot why they failed in a second. Let's continue to move it on. So while this is populating, we can go see why our accounts failed. So you can see that it struggled to find a couple of contacts in the system. So I believe that it's because of that middle initial. It is referencing a middle initial, but the middle initial is not part of the full name in CRM. So we'll fix that and we'll import it later. Let's refresh again, see how this is doing. So you can see so far we haven't had any error